guys, it's Ihana and Anika here. Welcome back to Paradox Duo, the podcast. And today we're talking about
listening is key.
So before we hop into that, we're just going to, talk about why that topic was important for us to discuss, get our feet wet a little bit, and then dive deeper into what that really means. Because a lot of people are like, duh, like listening is key, of course. But Anika, what experiences have you felt that make you feel like listening is like has highlighted why listening is so important for you?
Because I often feel like people don't listen, because if they did, they wouldn't have the questions that they have. You know how people, like teachers always saying that there is no dumb question? That's a lie. That's a lie. And everybody know that's a lie, because sometimes there's dumb questions. Because if I tell you that the apple was in the kitchen, and you ask me where the apple is 5 times, that's a dumb question.
Okay, listen,
and you should have listened the first time.
But what if the apple is in the kitchen on top of the fridge? I know this is a stupid analogy, but like, what if the apple is in the kitchen on top of the fridge?
That's not what people be saying. They be like, is it in the bathroom? Like, why would it be in the bathroom? You get what I'm saying?
That's pretty
They're
stupid.
dumb. Exactly.
Anika, right? Stop calling people stupid.
I'm going off on a tangent. But the point here is, facts are facts.
Honestly, when we started this podcast, we thought that I was going to be the person to get canceled. I think it's you.
I'm just being honest. I'm just telling you. I'm telling everybody what everybody already got on their mind. Which is people think they're a dumb question. Do you think that every question is a good question? Or there are no stupid questions? Because there are. You know what? Here's a great dumb question. I was at work one time, maybe like a couple months ago. I used to work with this guy. And he looked me dead in my face. I mean, he looked me dead in my eye. You know what he gonna say to me? Have you ever been racially discriminated against? Because I have. I don't think you have. I said...
Okay, why did he say that?
What?
Wait, what ethnicity was he?
He was Vietnamese. And he gonna say that to me. My coworker at the time, she gonna look at me, it's like, is he serious? I said, I think so, but it just don't make no sense, because what made you say that? That's a dumb question.
Here's what I'm gathering from this. It's not dumb questions. Okay, that was just inappropriate. It's not dumb questions. It's people's assumptions. So, like, somebody assumed something that made them believe. Like, like, why did he assume that? Or, like, with your analogy of the apple in the kitchen. Like, they assumed that it wasn't in the place that you said it was. So, they asked the question to clarify. Like, I think it's, like, why did you, like... It's most of the time, I think it's, like, people not taking what you say literally. So it's like, that's why it seems like they have stupid questions. Okay, so you're saying they don't believe...
So you're saying they don't believe what I'm saying? That's even worse.
It could be, like, believe is a strong word, because it's like my beliefs. But it's like... It's like, I would say that, yeah, like they aren't, I would say they are not clear on what you are saying. So then they are asking a stupid question. And the example of that guy, he was assuming that you haven't. And then like with his own process, like his thought process, wanted to get clarification on if you did. But that was just dumb. That was just inappropriate and stupid. But like with the example of the apple in the kitchen, it's like, I'm clarifying. Some things don't need clarification, but I'm clarifying because of some situation I got going on. Because you're
locations in the kitchen. That's what you're saying. Like, you need clarification because there's multiple locations. I guess I can understand that.
So it's like, is the question real? Is there a dumb question?
Yes.
I think what a dumb question is
Yes.
is when you get clarification from me and then you ask about clarification 5 more times after that. So
That's
it's
what I'm
like,
talking
and it's
about.
the same. It's like the same question, like the same exact question. It's not like, is the apple in the kitchen on top of the fridge or in the cabinet? It's like, is the apple in the kitchen? And then 10 minutes later, is the apple in the kitchen?
Yeah, but I feel like people, they don't I feel like they don't listen to what other people are telling them. And then when they get the reactions from not listening, that they get frustrated. But if you would have listened to the first conversation, should I say, then we wouldn't be in this position. And I often feel like that goes back into people listen. They don't listen to understand; they listen to respond, which means you're really not listening at all.
Well, sometimes I think when it comes to that, it's like your mindset is like preventative. It's like, well, if you would have did this first, then we wouldn't be in XYZ situation. And so it's like, if we're gonna listen, we gotta listen for both sides. Not We can't listen for a side of, well, this is like, for like the keyword that stuck out for me is like the frustration piece. It's like, okay, y'all are both frustrated. Like, this person is frustrated because they need clarification. You're frustrated because they keep asking questions. And so it's kind of like, what do you do about that? Because y'all are both like meeting each other at different points. So it's like, if y'all, like, for example, like if you have somebody asking you how to do something and you give them like a broad answer, like if I'm like, how do you mop the floor? And you're like, pour some water and some bleach in a bucket. And then it's like, but what do you really mean? Like, the points of clarification are already. Oh, have you did that experiment in school where they teach you how to write out how to do a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? How to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
No.
It's like in 3rd grade. Yes, you have, bro.
No.
See, you should have did that. Your writing would be a lot better.
Oh. I guess we're coming to a conclusion about my writing.
You're right. You should have did that one. Okay.
No.
How do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Tell me, Anika. If you had to write out how you made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, how would you do it?
Like very detailed? Like a detailed way?
See?
Okay.
See, this is like the clarification part. So it's like, just write it. How do you make a peanut butter and jelly?
Okay, you take out one slice of bread, put it on a plate. You take.
So where did you get the plate from? Where did the plate come from?
You see what I'm saying? No. How your house set up?
Do you see
that depends. No.
So listen, this is how you do it.
Where the plate is, you shouldn't be eating. Sorry.
No, it's like for somebody who knows nothing. So it's like, okay, how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? You grab a plate. You grab a knife.
All that, right? Nah, hold up. Pause. Hold up. If you saying all that, then you need to describe to them what a plate is. No,
I'm not describing to you what peanut butter and jelly is. I don't have to describe. I'm not describing what these things is. I'm telling you what you need. So I didn't say, so like, get a plate. Okay, go on Amazon and type in plate. Get a knife. If you don't know what a knife is, go into Amazon.
Like, how technical do you want to get here? That's my point.
But no, so it's like, okay, so it's like, imagine if you're reading a recipe, but you already, like, the assumption is that you already know everything that you need for a recipe until they don't tell you what type of dish you need. So, like, let's say you're reading a recipe and it's like, you need a 1/4-inch deep circle pan, gotta be metal, not glass. But let's say you put, like, you put it in something that's smaller or something. Yeah, like, it's not going to be the same. So it's like, do you get a paper towel or do you get a plate? It's like, which one do you want to get? Like, they're not describing to you what it is. Like, this is made, the way that this bowl was made, it was made by, like, that's not what it is. It's like, these are the things that you need in order to do that. And then it's like, The assumption part is just lost. But that's the part when I say people like the dumb question or the listening thing. It's the assumption that you and the other person are at the same starting point.
Okay, I could have respect for that. So you're saying people in life start at different positions in life. So sometimes you got to do a little bit more, a little bit less explanation, so y'all are at the same level playing on beginning point or etc.
Yeah, like I think for us, it's a lot different because it's like, I think I learned this in college, but like people who went to private school had a lot easier time adjusting to the workload at college because they already had that. You and I, like our teachers, they gave us homework, but we didn't have homework. Like we had one teacher who gave us like homework for real, and even though we're in the same, even though we're in the same class, we're doing the same thing. Technically, we're supposed to be starting at the same level. What's the joke? Ain't no cutting this time. What's the joke, sis?
Let's regroup.
Okay, come back together.
Okay.
Can you tell the pod the joke? Because at this point, I don't understand.
I don't think I can. It's okay.
You can.
They might already know, but in case they don't, I'm not gonna say it.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Right. We had an issue where we needed to regroup. Anywho, but
we gathered ourselves. It's okay.
Yes, back to what I was saying. The assumption is that because we are in the same place, we are on the same page, and that is just honestly not true. Like I don't really know what you talk about. I don't really know. Like I'm adjusting, and you may be over there.
I could understand bringing people to the same playing field so we can start at the same place and then grow from there. I can respect that. I can understand that.
I think like you got to feel people out first, or you got to feel the situation out first. So it's like, let me make sure you and I are on the same page. And then if I know, like, for example, like I know my supervisor does this with me a lot. It's kind of like, I need you to do this, this, and this. And this is who you're going to need to go to do it or whatever, right? But it's like, you're feeling me out first to see what I can do. And then I'm going to, like, get you some more stuff when you're done, or depending upon how well you do. Because when it's like, listening, it's also like this goes on to perception. When you're listening, like Anika, you could say, and this happens a lot, especially for me, you could be like, Ihana, that dress was ugly. And I could be like, she said I was fat. Because why is it ugly? What makes it ugly? You see what I'm saying?
See, here's my problem with that listening tactic. Not only did you not listen, you then added a little salt and pepper, because that's not what I said. I said, but no, you didn't really. Ugly.
You didn't really clarify though.
But let me say something, because now you added in stuff that I never said. I said the dress was ugly. I didn't say you were ugly. I said the dress.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. That could very well, if that was a situation, that could very well be me projecting. But it's like,
that's absolutely projection.
How do you, instead of being like, that's projection and that's not my problem, how do you then communicate with the person? Because it's like, let's say I be like, okay, let's say I communicate to you, Anika, when you said that the dress was ugly, it made me feel like you was calling me fat. What would you say?
I would say I wasn't calling you fat. I said the dress was ugly.
So what about that, like, communicate? Okay, so let's just role play. We're doing role play, okay?
Okay.
So
set the scene.
Call my dress ugly.
That dress you got on right now is ugly.
That's a somber voice. You know, daggone well, if we was in the mall trying on dresses, you would not be like, Ihana, girl. No. Like, you would not be trying to give me a church voice. You would be like, ew, girl, that is not the one.
All right, this how I be. I be like, girl, that dress is not it. Like,
and I'm feeling myself in this dress. Feeling myself. I'm like, yeah, da 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 da. And he go like, That's not it. So then I'm like,
that's not it.
Why not? Like, what's the issue? What's tea?
I would have been like, the color scheme is it's not matching. It's not going with the vibes. You know what I'm saying? It got a stain on the back. The split is a little bit too high. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think it's like too tight? Like, well, I like the color, and I think the slit is kind of sexy.
What if it's not tight and it's like really loose and it look like you wearing night clothes, like you about to go to bed? That dress is ugly because it looks like you about to go to bed.
Okay. Anywho, that's adding on to the situation, but
that's why it's
after I put the dress back. After we get back in the mall, we get in the car, and I'd be like, "Dang, girl, like I feel like you was really coming for me." When you, like me and what I look like, when you said that dress was not it. And you would be like, I wasn't coming for you. I just said the dress was not it. And so I would be like, well, I understand that you may not have intended to, but your tone and the way that you were speaking to me and the way that you were speaking about the dress caused me to feel that way. And then what do you say?
Okay, I'm like, okay, if we were really talking, I would say, no, I wasn't calling you fat. The dress itself is ugly. If you would have put on a better dress, it would have been fine. But that particular dress is not it.
But I've already discussed that I knew that your intention wasn't ill, although I'm still having troubles with my feelings.
Okay, so this is where I get disconnected, because what does my tone of voice in this particular situation, I'm not saying in everyone, in this particular situation, how does that affect the message when the message is like cut and dry?
Anika, like this is also very similar to, like, let's say I say something to you that's like very cut and dry, but I yell at you. Like the tone and how you said it, and like it's more about. It's not even.
I guess my question is, how do we add on this stuff? I guess that's where I get confused at, because I could understand that you said that I was upset with you, I was disgusted or whatever, but I just don't understand the addition of body shaming when I'm talking about the dress. That's why it seems like projection.
Let me highlight this, right? So when our friend, because I'm going to be honest, I don't really care about projection when it comes to other, like, people who are not close. Like, when you're not close to people, like, the projection part is like, all right, girl, you go do you. But let's just say I in a position I was projecting, and we are friends. Mm-hmm. The projection is less about what you yourself did wrong. It is more about validating somebody's feelings, because we all know that just like I could run into the back of your car and be like, damn, girl, like I really did not mean to. It was not in my intention to fuck up your day and mess up your car. But the reality of the situation is now you cannot remove your feelings from the situation. You're still going to be upset.
Oh, I see.
So it's more about validating somebody's feelings and not being like, no, that's actually not what happened, because that's pretty dismissive. It's actually, because like, how are you going to tell somebody else how they feel? Yeah, it's more like,
I could understand that situation. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, actually, girl, my bad. I may have made you feel like you were fat. That really wasn't my intention, and I can work on how I bring stuff to you the next time, because I know XYZ.
Okay. I could agree with that one. I could agree with that one, because if you run into the back of me, we're going to have a problem. I don't care if the grandma behind you. You hit my car.
It's a big thing. So how this is even related to the listening part, when we had that conversation, what you heard was, you're blaming me for doing something that I didn't do, and I don't want to be accountable for it. But in actuality, me, myself, like, it's like both people really listening? Because it's like, in actuality, I never said that I was blaming you. I actually never said that anything was your fault. So at that point, it's both projection. You see how that works in that scenario?
I see how you brought it around town. I appreciate it. Okay, so what do you think people's downfalls are in listening?
So I think that we think of ourselves first. Like, and I'm not trying, this is not me being perfect and being like, this is a secure person response. This is not a person, like, this is something you work towards, and including you and I, Anika, work towards. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you have to work on taking yourself out of the situation, because the moment, like in that scenario, the moment that I told you that my feelings were hurt, you went on to your accountability. You never even addressed, actually, like, you actually said, no, that's not what I said. That's not even what you should feel. Like, it's addressing how you feel first, outside of addressing if somebody's coming to you and saying that their feelings are hurt or about this situation. Like, you can be sympathetic to the fact that somebody feels that way, even though that may not be reality, because a lot of the times, like, feelings are not logical based. Like, I could be like, oh my God, I feel like you hate me now because you said, like, it's a bunch of different things I could say because you called me or the dress ugly. But it's like, I try to remove, and I've been working on this too, I try to remove myself from what the person is saying and just really just hone into, like, you said that I made you feel a certain type of way, and that's what I'm going to come to first. I'm going to validate what you said first. I'm going to do what I said first. After you and I have had the conversation about what my true intention was, and I understand that doesn't sweep your feelings under the rug, we can talk about, this is for people that I care about, we can talk about what could have triggered you, what type of language could have triggered you, because I'm the type of person who I do want to be cognizant of that. It couldn't happen every time. That's unrealistic. But if I make an effort to work on that, because for you it's an issue, or it's an issue that you're working through, we can work through that issue together.
Right.
So it's like, what does that, like, don't always think it's me first, because I could be like, Anika really feels some type of way towards me, and that's me thinking about myself first, and then you being like, she tripping. That's thinking about yourself first.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could agree with that.
Okay, so now
that is a different perspective, I would say.
I do want to talk about story times on when you felt like communication was lost, or like intention was lost, or like listening, like the situation, it was just a mess. Listening was not happened on both times.
Like 2 weeks ago. Let me tell you what happened.
I'm here for the story time.
Mm-hmm. So I wake up, because I had to take an exam, right?
I'm staring dead at you.
I had to take an exam, so it's early. But once again, I got off at like midnight. So getting up at like 9, 10 is quite hard. Okay? So by the time I get home, I don't actually fall asleep till about 3 a.m. So I wake up at 8, 9 so I can take my exam. So I'm like already groggy, sleepy, like I'm just over it. Kind of like, let's get it done to get it done. So I'm working on some posts for Instagram for the podcast. And I was asking Ihana, like, how do we access the Spotify? Real simple question. And she was like, she said some questions. She answered it like, oh, we don't have a Spotify account. I was like, huh? Don't we post on Spotify? I'm confused. So then she called me and she was like, yeah, we don't have a Spotify. You can try X-Way. And I was like, okay, I could try that way and figure it out. I didn't think nothing of the conversation. It was a regular ass conversation. You know what Ihana told me at the end of the conversation? She said, what's the problem? I said, nothing. She was like, Anika, what's the problem? I'm saying, like, what do you mean, what's the problem? She's talking about something. Okay, well, when you figure it out, you call me back.
Okay.
No, when I tell you I died, I was cracking up because I'm like, what is she talking about?
Okay.
Like, I was like, is she serious? So here's what I thought initially, because like a couple of weeks prior to that, she says that sometimes when other people make her mad, she takes it out on me. So I'm thinking it's one of those situations where she told me, because then at that time she said, oh, I just expect you to brush it off. So I'm thinking, okay, this is one of these times. I'm going to just brush it off. That was funny. And I'm going to go about my day. And that's what I did. Lo and behold, the next couple days, she was serious.
I was serious.
I was like, what you mad for? I just woke up. She talking about, you know what she said to me? I didn't take that into consideration.
No, literally. So this is okay. This is how the story went from my part, and this is just a thing of like how
I'm
the
curious
listening
about this one. Yeah, I'm curious about this
could
one.
be like on both sides. The listening don't always be there. So let's paint this picture. Me and Anika are 3 hours on a time zone difference. She texted me at like, I think it was around 1:00 my time, which it was early in the morning her time, and that part truly did slip my mind, because here's how I view it. If you're texting me about the podcast, that means you're actively working on the podcast. Your mind's already into it. So when she texted me, she said, what's the login to the Spotify? Now here's where this went wrong for me. I'm sitting here like, what is she talking about? Like, what is she even saying? What's she talking about?
It's very clear. What is the login to the Spotify?
But listen, how is it clear? It's clear for you because you assumed that it was some type of Spotify that we could upload to separately, and that's where we could it's not clear because there's an assumption there that is not true.
Okay, but the assumption is valid because we upload to Spotify. But she didn't explain that we don't really have an account. Okay, go ahead.
So, I'm sitting here like, does she know something that I don't? Because I'm kind of confused on like what she's talking about. So then I'm like, I clarify. I'm like, we don't have a Spotify. We don't have, like, that's not what we have. Explain to her what we do. So then she's like, all right, I'm going to go find something else, because she started to create a list of scenarios that I was like, huh? Like, where did that even come from? So here's what I think was the issue. There was an assumption on, I'm not going to say on whose part, because I can't really pinpoint like on whose part. I think there was an assumption from both of us that like we're in the same class, but we're not on the same page. Because you think we got a Spotify, I'm like, we don't. You're like, I'm going to create another list of solutions for this problem that it does not currently exist. I'm like, why? Like, why are we, like, we're just not on the same page in general. So,
okay, I'm going to pause you right there. The reason why I do that, I like to prepare for things I'm not thinking about currently, like problems that don't exist yet. I call it preventative maintenance, right? I like to do that often, and it often plays in my favor. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did that, right? So when Ihana was like, why do we need that? And I'm explaining the possible reasons that could happen. They're not presently happening, but they could. She's not understanding.
And listen to why. And this is, I'm not going to get into the entire technical piece of it because I think that would be boring for y'all.
Yeah.
But this is not like, I consider preventative maintenance like obviously you do things to prevent mistakes. Mm-hmm. But you can't go so deep down the hole that you just start creating problems that just do not exist. And that was the part that I was just like, where are we at? Because it was like, how do we know? Like the question was, if somebody decided to hack into our podcast account, how are other platforms going to know it's us, and we going to be able to recover from it? And from based on what I saw from either, like, other things, I'm like, is there really a solution for that problem yet? Not on our part, because we can't create a solution for that. It's not out there. Like, Spotify does not have XYZ. They only have partners. So if that is the case, this is a problem that Spotify hasn't even created a solution for.
But here's the thing. At the time, Ihana had not discussed with me how she uploads to Spotify, how our podcast gets to Spotify.
I did. Because you and I went over Anchor. And that's what we use.
Anchor. No, you said, this is what you explained it to me. You said Anchor, this is how I understood it. The way you explained it anyway. We have our account, and Anchor is so we can just publish on various platforms at one time. Kind of like Facebook Business Center. You have your accounts for Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, but you can go to this one central location and publish everywhere. That is the way I understood your explanation. So at this point, as you said, I just needed clarification.
But to me, like, do you get what I'm saying? I'm not calling your question dumb. I'm not saying that. But to me, in your textbook definition, that would have been a dumb question. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's like, I can give you the clarification on it. But it's also, the key part about that scenario is you have thought about it in your head in another way. I have then explained it to you in another way. And so when we start to talk about, well, what's this and what's that, it comes out as to be like, what are we talking about? Because I know that you perceived the Anchor to be that way. And I honestly just didn't know that. But to me, the entire time it was, no, Anchor is the Spotify account, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's, regardless of that, when I said, I'm going to let you figure it out, because I'm somebody who is heavily affected by tone. I don't know what it is.
But this is happening through text. There is no tone.
No, I'm not talking about that. See, you exposing yourself right now. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about when I called you. I'm talking about when I called you.
But I'm talking about this part that we're talking about, the part where you're talking about Anchor to Spotify and I'm listening to these things. This is all happening through text messages. So
but that's not even the part that I'm talking about. You see, like, because I'm not there yet. Because I'm not to the part. So it's like, after I called you, because I called you for the reason of I can't understand her tone. I can't understand what she's asking. I'm calling you for the clarification because I'm a little confused on what the issue is. So when I call you, it sounded to me, and maybe could be a projection thing, but it kind of sounded to me like you were like, hello, like, why are you even calling me? I asked you for something simple. You could have just gave me the thing that I asked you for, because it was like a one-line text, which is fine. It's like, I asked you for something simple. What's the need to call me for? That's kind of how I perceived the tone. I didn't make the correlation that you had just woke up. So then when I called you and you're like, hello, and I'm like, yeah, this is about explaining everything. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to just go do the thing that I think that we should do because I think that it needs to be done. And then I'm like, well, I don't really think there's a solution for that thing yet. We can research it some more or try and figure out other solutions. I just don't think that's like a thing. Like, we can't make a solution for this problem because it's the platform issue.
That is not what you said to me.
No, I didn't say that to you, but like that was the part. No, listen, I'm saying that. Like, that was the part that I'm like, why? Like, that's why I asked you why. So when I was like, okay, let me not take the tone personally. I was like, at the end of the conversation, I was like, let me not take the tone personally. Because sometimes my tone is fucking destructive. Sometimes it is. So I was like, let me not take it personally. I got to the end of the conversation and I said, oh, hey, I called you yesterday, or I texted you yesterday. Now we're not even talking about the podcast. I said, forget the podcast. I called you yesterday or something, or I saw that you were at this place. What was going on with that? Like, how was your day or something?
Oh, because I was at work for 16 hours.
So I said, what was that about? And she was like, training. Mm-hmm. And I said, damn, that sucks. And you said, does it really? And that just sent me over the edge. Because it's like, yes, who the hell wants to be at training at work for 16 hours? It does suck. And you know it sucks too, because if you... Mm-hmm. And I said, damn, that sucks. And you said, does it really? And that just sent me over the edge. Because it's like, yes, who the hell wants to be at training at work for 16 hours? It does suck. And you know it sucks too, because if you...
In the past, I do volunteer to be there for 16 hours. And Anika and Ihana have had constant, like, discussions about this. She's like, why you work so late? I'm like, because of the money. Because of the money. I'm money hungry.
16 hours is excessive.
It is to you. So at that time, I didn't have to be there for 16 hours, but I wanted to, just like the other time. So I was like, does it? Because as in, oh, my paycheck is going to be nice. Okay?
So what I'm hearing in this conversation is we can... and that's why I gave a disclaimer at the beginning of that video, because I don't want people to be like, not you having a whole podcast and not doing it in real life. I'm not a perfect person all the time. Sometimes our communication is like, sometimes me and Anika brain just, we here. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we not. And that's why it's like, I'm not perfect. I don't always jump to being the best person I can be. But that comment of does it was something about it. And the tone, it was like, what the fuck do you mean does it? Like, what do you mean? Like, why would it not suck? Like,
because I was making money.
So it was just like, what? Like, and so that's where you got what's the issue?
And she knows.
Oh, wait, no, wait.
What?
This is also the part that sent me over the edge. Anika has a tendency of not saying how she feels. She has a way of being like, no. Like, she like, let me not say nothing. So in that moment, I was like, this was me projecting. In that moment, I was like,
projection starts.
This got a fucking problem. And she didn't even say it. And she won't say it. And she keeping it from me. And now it's just like, why won't you say it?
And now
like, why won't you say it?
Now I have this problem, quote unquote, and she's taking it offensive because I won't share her my problem. Because you don't trust me? Well, I want you to tell me your problem.
Because there's a problem with me. It's a problem.
That's the thing. Me. There was no problem. It wasn't with her. I don't know what she talking about.
But okay, so that's fair, right? That is all fair.
No,
but why don't you just say,
I did.
Ihana?
Hold up.
No, you did not.
No. Stop. This is what happened. Anika, what's wrong? I said nothing. She said, Anika, what's wrong? I said nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. And that's when she told me to think about my actions, basically.
Listen,
that was so funny.
Listen. I was very triggered because it was okay. This is a long podcast, but it's okay because we don't got to do much to it. I definitely, in the moment, can say I was projecting because I had already felt like you, like, not because you're not telling me your issue. Like, we've already had, that's just our relationship. I don't expect you to tell me everything. Mm-hmm. I feel as though I was already feeling like you do not trust me in the aspect of the podcast, so then you have to go and research whatever and then come to me and be like, well, this is what I found. Even though I could be like, well, this is what I think, this is how I feel. You'd be like, but this is what, it's like, it's not, to me, it didn't feel like the trust was already there. So it was like, Now you don't trust me. Now I'm not even talking about the podcast. Now I'm asking you how your day was and you're giving me attitude. And now I'm trying to be the best person I can, but I'm honestly taking over the edge and I'm giving you a piece of my mind. So now it's just like, you see,
now
and so
the truth comes to light.